Attention residential agents, okay? If you've ever considered getting involved in commercial, you need these 3 items. Foundations, okay? You need to understand property types. Most brokers will tell you to find a little geographic area, and with that little geographic area, just zoom in on one part and be part of every lease and every buyer and every sale transaction. I say, whoever told you that, run the opposite direction. Why? Because it's outdated thinking. That worked in the 90s before people were going in and utilizing the internet and had access to large amounts of information. When you had to be the neighborhood expert, you know, those of you on the residential side know the term, right? Commercial is no different. People saying, oh, you need to be like the master of this little submarket. Throw it out the window. And whoever that is, you know, don't send them a Christmas card. I'll tell you why. When information was scarce, yeah, you had to be there. You had to be boots on the ground. You had to be buying people coffee and chit-chatting with this one and so on and so forth. But in the post-internet age, which is where we are now, information is abundant. So you no longer need to be the neighborhood expert. What you do need to do is you do need to know how to sell enough property types so that you can go sales only. If you can go to the sales only side, guess what, folks? That's where all the people make the money. Number 2, understanding what you're selling. Guys, the more you can speak confidently and the more you can speak so that people understand that they know that you know what you're talking about, the more you're going to be able to persuade them that you are the person for the job. So it's very, very important. Number 1, for us to understand terminology, right? Number 2, for us to understand the product we're actually selling. What is the roof made of? What is the structure made of here? Okay, you know, what is the clear height? Is this dock higher street level? What is the you know, how close are we to the floodplain? What is the zoning here? What types of permitted uses are there for businesses? Right? These are all parts of understanding commercial real estate. Right? Next up, valuation. Okay. How do you know what something is worth? As agents, we show people our expertise by not only the questions we ask, but our ability to understand valuation. Here's the cool thing, guys. If you want to be perceived as a subject matter expert, in this case, a commercial real estate broker, the fastest way for you to get there is to get really good at valuation. You can get really good at valuation in like 90 days, right? Or less. Depends on like how much you work at it, right? But if you can underwrite like 20 or 30 properties, you do that in 90 days, you're going to be really good at it. Like, and so the point is, for those of you that might feel like, oh, I don't know what to say. The best thing you can do is get good at it. Vocabulary. This is the language of commercial real estate. Just like lawyers have legalese and doctors have medical jargon and so forth, commercial real estate is no different because the language is very different. Part of what we teach in our program is the 100 most used terms in commercial real estate. You know, you can go out and learn 1,000 terms, or you can learn the 100 most used, and that's going to get you about 80 to 90% of what you need, you know. Next up, okay, very, very important, okay. Without the ability to source and market to buyers and sellers, it's very, very difficult to make an inroads in this business. If you can understand where to find the sellers and then figure out a way to find buyers. So if you can think about this, if you can go out and source sellers, become a listing agent, but also at the same time, work on developing a killer database so that you know where the what I call the usual suspects are. Guys, last time I checked, $2 is better than $1, okay, for the same amount of work. So as you're developing this database, you know, it's very, very helpful that as a listing agent, you start putting these pieces together. And then while you're doing your listing to prospecting to sellers so that you can become their listing agent, you're also developing a killer database. Okay, because you start putting the two together, you become very, very profitable, very, very fast, and you don't need to sell that many transactions. Then the next part of the step is to convince them to do business with you, right? And then finally, how to present to them so you can persuade them that you are the right person for the job. And then once you get the job, like I mentioned, you market it to others just like them. And the cool thing is you can find hidden gems. When you start building out a really good database and you reach out to them, those people eventually get to know, like, and trust you, and they come to you with properties that are basically off market, and you didn't even have to do the business of calling them over and over again to convince them. They see that you're building a business, and they show you, they say, you know what, this guy or gal is getting it done. I think they'll be able to get it done for me. Next, like I said, be your own promoter and stand on top of the soapbox and use a bullhorn. You're trying to reach out to as many people as possible and tell you how fantastic and how you get the job done for your clients. Game plan and support. This is the third piece that you need when you're transitioning over from a residential practice to a commercial practice. When you're a newer broker on the commercial side, these three things are the most important, right? Knowing the what to do and when to do it. Okay. Trying to figure this out on your own is like having 10 doors and you're just like, oh, I'm going to go in this door. Then let me open up this door and try to look in that one. And then I go in this door and try to look in that one. And then at the end of the day, you went through 10 doors. You wasted all that time, all that effort, and didn't make nearly as much money as you could have versus if someone told you which door to go open and where to go from there. Which do you think is easier and which do you think you're going to make more money doing? So knowing the what and the when is very, very important. Knowing what to do is good, but knowing when to do is equally important. Having the support, having a team, maybe it's a team member that has done this before, right? The one-eyed man is king. The person you're taking instruction from doesn't need to be in the business for 50 years. They just have to know something that you don't, okay? Learn from someone who has done this, whether you're on a brokerage team, right? Whether you learn from your broker or managing director, okay? You find a mentor to do this. Whatever you do, please, please, please don't waste time trying to figure things out on your own, because that little dash of like, yeah, that you give your ego when you figure it out all by yourself, like I'm a big boy, look at me. You could have closed 10 deals in the time that it took you. Accountability partners are huge for you. They might not be far ahead of you, but accountability partners can help you stay on track with the things that you know you're supposed to be doing.